moved in with him. I was just wanted to make a video about toxic psychiatry treatments and different types of things like that. I'm going through some books and toxic psychiatry, and how this one is, that's the name of it, but on how to take off the stuff. You need to really get the information. Dr. Peter Breggin has been around since 1950, as in the psychiatric field. So I would definitely recommend him and his books. He's definitely the trailblazer within psychiatry, and going ahead and exposing the brain disabling treatments that are within the psychiatry field. But we're going to get into this book. We'll get into a few things. I've made other videos on other books that Dr. Breggin has written as well. The antidepressant fact book, and your drug may be your problem, how and why to stop taking psychiatric drugs. But right here in this book, learn some things about let's see here, things in psychiatry, the withdrawal process when you're on the medication and get off it, what happens, and different things like that. But first, it talks here on page 63, and in international pharmacopsychiatric, that patients treated with placebo in the hospital and patients on follow-up showed greater clinical improvement and less pathology at follow-up. So these people that had a placebo, which is just a sugar pill, these people did a lot better, way better than the people that were on medication psychiatric. And so basically saying here that the ones that did have a placebo pill or a sugar pill, they went out and they did really well compared to the people that were on the psychiatric medications, the real pill. And it says that fewer rehospitalizations and less overall functional disturbance in the community than the other groups of patients studied. So they had less disturbances, so forth, within the community. These people that were on a placebo, sugar pill, and then the other people that were on psychiatric medication, they had some more problems, a lot more so than the people that were just on a placebo pill. Now, of the group that never received medication, only 8% were rehospitalized. Of the group that received medication at some time during or after hospitalization, 47 to 73% of these people were rehospitalized. So ones that did not take medication, they had a sugar pill, these people, only 8% of them returned back into and were hospitalized. Okay, now the people that were on medication, either in the hospital at the time or after they were released, got on medication, what happened was 47 to 73% of those were rehospitalized. I mean, that's a big, huge difference compared to 8% with just a placebo pill. They weren't on any medication. So it goes on. The worst performance was for those patients who were drugged both during and after. They suffered a 73% return rate. So those who were in this study and they were on psych meds both while they were hospitalized and after they were hospitalized, they had a 73% of those people were rehospitalized. So that's just insane. That's huge numbers. Facts that show without medication you do a lot better. You can be a lot. You just have a normal life without being hospitalized all the time because of these medications. And then he goes on. He said that The results of positive drug studies will seem still less impressive when we examine the high rate of drug-induced permanent brain damage. It's a high rate of permanent brain damage by the psychiatric medication, which can exceed 50% among long-term patients. So people who are long-term patients or on medication for long periods of time, years and years, whatever, 50% said here that they have big time permanent damage, brain damage. So 50% of the long-term patients in the psychiatric field are having permanent brain damage because of the medication, the psychiatric medication. So that's just, it's insane. So going on, let's see here. I mean, this is very serious business. It's something that millions and millions upon millions, really in America and throughout the world, this is ridiculous. But in America, there's millions upon millions. I heard a stat that Dr. Bregan was saying that 20% of adults are on medication. I heard Alex Jones and InfoWars there. He was saying that 20% of children and kids and whatever, teenagers, all that, are on medication. That's 40% of Americans on psychotropic medication. And some of them don't even realize that they're on psychiatric medication because they use psychiatric medication for so many different types of things. So it's not just for psychiatric, but these stuff have a really, really bad effect on the brain, can cause permanent brain damage. Now, in page 88 and also 89, but in 88, he's talking about withdrawing from psychiatric drugs. He goes and says, while neuroleptic drugs, that's the antipsychotic dealing mainly with the mind, neuroleptic drugs are dangerous to take. They also are dangerous to stop taking too quickly. See, most people don't really realize this. They don't understand this. Normal people that get on medication, they don't know that, they can have a lot of big time withdrawals because of just cold turkeying this stuff, because they felt like so depressed or suicidal or whatever it might be. They just didn't feel like themselves. They wanted to get off the medication. So they go ahead and abruptly withdraw. Now, this is what can happen. Going too quickly off, it says disturbing muscular control problems can develop during withdrawal period. Withdrawal can cause a temporary or permanent worsening of psychotic symptoms. So this abruptly withdrawing or just cold turkeying, whatever, can cause worsening of psychotic symptoms. Also, and permanent worsening of psychotic. This stuff can become permanent with the individual that's on the medication with total, cold turkeying, whatever their psych drugs. Also with anxiety and even anguish as a result of central nervous system rebound from the drugs. So these things can become permanent. Permanent psychotic symptoms worsening. And anxiety and anguish and a whole slew of type of stuff can become permanent because of these psychiatric medication cause damage. And with cold turkeying, whatever, these psych drugs, these things are really bad. And he said withdrawal, this can take weeks or longer to clear or may not clear at all. So weeks or longer getting off these medications could clear, but it may not clear these types of problems that they're having with withdrawal. So insomnia is common. Withdrawal commonly produces a very distressing flu-like syndrome. I've had that so many times with psychotropic drug withdrawal in the past, when I just cold turkey back in the day, didn't know what I was doing. Including runny nose, headache, fever, muscle and joint aches, and gastrointestinal upset. All this stuff, 100%, I can relate because that's happened with me. Because of the withdrawal problems, patients should try to come off the medications while receiving emotional and social support. But anyways, he goes on and states, you really need a lot of support. You need a lot of different things going on. You need doctors. You need family members. You need church. You need different things like that. Religious leaders, preachers and things to be able to help you with these types of situations, because this stuff is very, very serious. Now, helping patients come off these drugs can be very difficult, and it absolutely, I've been in that situation, coming down off these medications. Very, very difficult at certain periods of time, and usually it's a lot of difficulties with me anyways, with every single month, sometimes every week. It all depends on the situation and what's going on. I try to involve people who deal with patients regularly, such as members of the family, friends, ministers, teachers, and family doctors. Nearly everyone personally associated with a patient is likely to believe that he or she must take the drugs for a lifetime. See, most people think that these mentally ill people, whatever, need to be on medications for life, and it's just it's not the case, because you need to get off these things. It's your choice, but it's very, very dangerous, this stuff. Any withdrawal symptoms, from insomnia and hyperactivity to hallucinations and delusions, I've had all this stuff, also will be attributed to the patient's psychiatric problem. So when these drugs are causing this insomnia or causing this hyperactivity to hallucinations, they're hallucinating, they have delusions, all these crazy stuff, withdrawal symptoms and everything, it's because of the withdrawal symptoms, but the doctors and everybody around them are saying, no, this is your mental illness. In reality, it's the medication bringing out these symptoms. So then he goes on and says, next page, to support, let's see, anyone helping the patient withdraw from the drugs may need to spend time communicating with people other than the patient, encouraging them to support the gradual and sometimes treacherous process. Perhaps a drug-free person won't ever again be as easy to live with, but he or she will be physically healthier and have vastly increased opportunity to get more out of life. So getting off these medications, you're going to be more normal, be able to have a brain that is sober and that's not drugged up and controlled by medication, which make you really bad. Of course, there can be problems with say tough to get along with someone that's had so much brain damage from the medication in the past. They've got off them, and now they could be tough to be around sometimes because of the fact that they have so much brain damage. But there's so much upside to this, it's unbelievable. Also it goes on, and we'll get to another page here. Let's get this out of here. So in page 154, Dr. Bregan goes ahead and talks about different things as well, saying that they can bring about anxiety. So it's talking about let's see here, be the medication, but let's see what it says. So antidepressants, but when you talk about antidepressants, all those types of things can happen also, with psychiatric medication, antipsychotics, whatever, is all sorts of different types of stuff. But with these medications, they can bring this, whether it be antidepressant or antipsychotic or neuroleptic, whatever, same thing. So they can bring weight gain, sleep disturbances, seizures, impaired cardiac function, blood pressure low blood pressure on standing. So bring that in a bad way, bring your blood pressure too low. Of course, it can give you spikes too in your blood pressure. Now, they frequently produce sedition, lethargy, and blunting of emotional responsiveness, although this often goes acknowledged by unacknowledged by psychiatrists. So these things, they don't acknowledge, they don't see the things going on. They don't, because they're not really supervising them properly, as in when they're here at the doctor's visits, not seeing if they have movements, tics, or whatever, and seeing these different things going on, whether it be tardive dyskinesia or all those different types of tardive that I've talked about in other areas. But now this says also that with, see here, in addition to the flu-like symptoms, withdrawal symptoms, talking about withdrawing here. Withdrawal symptoms from antidepressants often make the person seem irrational. So these withdrawals can make the person seem irrational, and sometimes even very irrational, because of withdrawal psychiatric. And even, because it says, goes on, says, seem irrational and even crazy. These people that I've been in that case over and over again with these types of things seeming like I'm crazy, but in reality it's a psychotropic drug withdrawal that's going on, and the medication that's the in the background, that's the main contributor to these types of things. So with high levels of anxiety and disturbing dreams that awaken the individual in a state of panic or dread. I've had that happen, and the way I deal with my psychotic dreams or whatever, I just put the Bible on and listen to the Bible, and if they come back, if I haven't been listening to the Bible for quite a while, then I'll just go ahead and if I'm having some dreams, I'll go ahead and put the Bible in CD and just play it throughout the whole entire night. I've done that for many years. But so often there is jitteriness or irritability. There are reports of patients becoming high or manic on withdrawal. So manic, high, whatever, because of withdrawals of medication. Now also it says that you can become depressed on these types of things. A lot of different problems with these medications here, because it's saying that the neuroleptics, permanent mental and neurological disorders after long-term exposure to the neuroleptics. So long-term exposure to these neuroleptics, here we go, mental and neurological. Let's talk about the dealing with the brain the command center, the brain. Big time problems with this because of the medication. Neuroleptics is talking about here, but that can also happen with other things. But the neuroleptics or the antipsychotics are the worst you can be on. And let's see here. Now, this is very important because there's so many different people. Like I said, there's 40 million at least, and then some, of people, whether children and adults, of Americans that are on psychiatric medication. So this is not something that is, non-existent or very rare. This stuff goes on all the time, where people are having to deal with medication, all these different types of things, and the withdrawals and the whatever. This is serious stuff. So if you know somebody that's on these things, you need to be able to study up on some things so you can be able to help them and come alongside them when they need certain types of help, and you can be able to try to work with them. But in rebound anxiety and insomnia, let's get this thing here. Rebound anxiety is one of the common